Good evening, everyone, and we're our part
Three.
Yeah,
Part three, yeah.
We're part 3, and we're discussing toxic people today.
Right.
Toxic people.
Yeah, man.
Folks love that subject because none of us are toxic.
Well,
It's all them.
As I'm taking notes, as I'm preparing, as I'm reading before, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not toxic.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait a minute. Because we're not perfect.
No.
And nor do we declare to be perfect.
No.
So let's be clear about that.
Let's
be crystal clear that we're not perfect.
No.
But we definitely do not want to be toxic. I was thinking about it. The more I was reading, I was like, oh my God, I hope Norbert and I are not coming off as being toxic.
That's right. You got to be careful.
So this is part 3, session number 8.
8. Bam, baby, bam.
This is awesome.
Bam.
So everybody that's coming back, welcome back. It's good to see that you have eyes on us.
Yes, we need your support.
Yes, we do.
Share it, send it off, tell friends, because we're hoping that next week we have our new digs, our new studio area.
I'm excited.
Our own background, because you notice we've been working on the lighting. We're just not any good at that kind of stuff, but we're working on it.
But we got someone that's going to be helping us.
We've got some wonderful person that's doing a great job. You're going to see us on YouTube. It should hopefully next week. Well, this week I'll upload it.
Okay.
And then we'll have all the sessions on YouTube. And so we'll send you out that information the moment when we have it. But today we want to get started because last week we only covered, 3 or 4? 3 points.
I think 3, yeah. Three type of toxic people. Yep.
Yeah, and we want to be able to discuss them now. So, Dr. D, can you just give us a quick review of last week?
Quick review. Let's go back 2 weeks. So we went.
Yes.
We started. Part 1 was about letting go of your past and being conscious about that, so that we're not carrying around a bunch of emotional baggage.
Yep.
Things that have bothered us. Things that have impacted us, whether it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 2 months, or 2 weeks ago. We know that the things that have affected us or have had a negative impact on us can really affect the way we think and the way that we behave.
Right.
And so with that being said, we addressed that in part 1, but also in part 2, we were like, well, what about some of the people in our lives that we've had? Not only have we had negative events in our life, we've had negative people in our life. So we began talking about that. And last week we were talking about people that doubt you, that doubt us. And I'm going to include myself in that. There's been plenty of people that have doubted me in my life. And people who have criticized you, criticized me. And those who minimize our contributions and things that we do.
Yeah.
We also talked about takers. So what's 4? You were right. We talked about people who doubt us, people who criticize us, people who minimize our contributions, and people who take from us.
Yep.
So we wanted to just give a quick review of that. And one of the things that we talked about with regard to those 4 groups, we talked about setting boundaries, but we didn't go into detail. And I want to start talking about detail and some general things we want to do that may apply to the other 3 we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
So, for instance, we want you to be very conscious about your interactions with people. If you need to be clear on when you're going to talk to them, how much you're going to talk to them, that's something that you're going to have to decide to do, because guess what? They're not going to do it for you.
No.
They're not going to do it for us.
No.
We have to set our own boundaries. So be proactive. Be proactive in your interactions. And the reason why I say be proactive is some people, and I've seen people do this, is whether I'm at a relative's house or a friend and the phone rings. And what do people normally do with caller ID? They look and see who it is.
Screen the call.
They screen the call. They'll grab the phone. Phone's ringing. They'll go, oh, I don't want to talk to that person.
Yep.
Or they'll go, oh, there's that person again. And they hit the call button and they answer.
Yep.
As if they have to answer. You don't have to answer.
Yep.
Be proactive. You decide how much you want to interact with them and when you want to interact with them.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is that if you do decide to talk to them, set time limits. If
Yeah,
someone says,
absolutely.
hey, do you have a few minutes of your time? You can say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people feel uncomfortable saying no. And it may not be a no for the future. It may be just, hey, not right now.
Not right now.
I need to go do something. Give me a call back in a half an hour.
Yeah.
You can set the time limit. And then in a half an hour, it doesn't have to be a 50-minute, 60-minute call.
No.
It can be 5 or 10 minutes. And when you get back on, here's a great thing to do. Hey, I got a few minutes now.
Yeah.
And if you want to be more concrete, say, I got 5 minutes. And if that's not enough time, hey, let's do it some other time.
That's right.
But be concrete and set your own limits. The other thing is to speak your piece.
Oh,
If
good.
there's one thing that you should do is to speak your piece. We're not pincushions.
No.
Just because someone might ask you a favor, my mom is good at this. I'll say, Mom, I need a favor. Or no, can you do me a favor? And I remember several years ago, her response threw me off. And she said, it all depends on what the favor is.
Yeah.
Did you know that most people, when they are asked a favor, they will say, yes, I'll do it, before they even know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So I took one out of the book from my mom. When people ask me, hey, Dr. D, can you do me a favor? It all depends
That's
on
right.
what it is.
That's
Because you may not do it. You may not want to do it. You may not feel comfortable doing it. And you've already, by making that statement,
Committed.
you set, no, by making the statement,
Yeah.
it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
You're setting the stage for saying, you know what, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah. Which is okay.
It's okay, but you can set the stage. People feel like they're obligated because someone asked
Yeah.
for something that you have to do it. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Set your own precedent, and it's okay to say no. But again, understand that when you say yes, be prepared to do it. But speak your piece. And if you're uncomfortable with something, let somebody know. Especially when people start talking about other people.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you know what? I am not comfortable with what we got.
That's our friend Andrea. How are you,
Hey,
Andrea?
So
Say hi to Daniel for us.
So when where were I? Lost track. What was I saying? Help me out.
You were rolling. We were talking about the toxic people that's setting the boundaries.
So I said, speak your piece.
Speak your piece.
We're gonna have to come back to it. 'Cause
Andrea, you threw us off, man.
I
You
lost
threw
my
us off.
train of thought. But you want to speak your piece, be able to speak your mind, because some things you might not want to do, and you set the precedent by saying,
Yeah.
"I'm not sure if I can do it." Right, and you can set that up front.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. You know, there's that scripture that says, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? If you don't love yourself, you have a hard time caring about somebody else, and you're unable to set the boundaries because you don't have your own personal boundaries.
that's right.
So there's got to be that clear distinction of what you allow yourself to get into.
Okay.
You don't want to be jelly where you
right.
just fill in the cracks everywhere.
That's
You've got to be substantial, and you
That's
got to know your own personal boundaries.
That's right.
So you can tell people, I can't do this.
That's right. And going back to can't do this, someone just sent us a reminder. We were talking about when people talk about other people, basically gossiping, that it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not real comfortable with that. I'm not
Yeah.
real comfortable with you talking about that
Yeah,
person
there-
that way.
yeah,
And I have a friend who coaches out in Jackson. He'll tell you, he said, you know what, that person's a friend of mine. You might want to be careful what you say.
Yep.
So that quickly shuts people up.
Yep.
So there's some quick strategies that you can use. But let's begin talking about
The last, 3?
Yeah, we're going to talk about 3 today.
Yep.
We're going to talk
So
about.
we covered the 4.
That's right. So we got people that doubt you,
Doubters.
people that criticize you,
Criticize.
minimize your contributions, and those who are takers.
Okay.
All right.
We've covered those in last week's session.
That's right. That's
And
right.
what are we covering today?
Drainers,
Drainers,
basically people who drain your energy.
people that take you.
They equate them to being vampires.
Vampires. What's up, Howard? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Howard
Tubbs.
Tubbs. Hey, Tubbs, classmate. High school classmate. Good to see you, Tubbs. Oh, good to see that you're looking in, Tubbs. So we got people that drain our energy. And then there's those know-it-alls.
Know-it-alls.
Know-it-all.
Know-it-alls.
I can't wait to get to that piece. Woo. Wow. And then shamers. And here's the other. So we got drainers, know-it-alls, and shamers. Now, we have to be careful.
Yeah?
Norb and I have to be careful because as we talk, I'm going to be the first one to tell you I don't know it all.
Absolutely.
Even though we're going to be talking about know-it-alls,
Yep.
right? So we do this humbly. We're humble in our position. At least
That's
I'm
right.
humble, and I believe Norbert is humble in his position that these are things to watch out for people that are in your life because we know could be friend, could be an employer, it could be an employee, a colleague, could be a family person,
Yep.
right? Could be a neighbor, right? So we want to be careful and know that these are sensitive topics, but let's move forward, all right? So I want to mention this I was reading, and I came across a quote the other day, and the quote was by Hans Hansen. Hans Hansen is he's from Denmark, and he's a painter,
Okay.
right? And he said that people inspire you or they drain you. They inspire you
or drain you.
or drain you, right?
Yep.
So keep that in mind.
Yep.
I did some research, and I was also studying this group organization called Talent. I believe it's called Talent Smart. Is it Talent Smart? Yeah, it's called Talent Smart. It's an organization that focuses on emotional intelligence. I love emotional intelligence because listen, we as educators, I'm an educator, school psychologist.
Yep.
We teach people how to do math. We teach them how to do algebra. Linear equations. We teach them history. We teach them long vowels, short vowels. We teach them a lot of different academia.
Yep.
But we don't necessarily teach emotions and how to respond. So this is going to be part of that.
Yeah.
So Talent Smart focuses on emotional intelligence, and they study people who are proficient in what they do. Top performers, consultants, CEOs. They study those people. Two things that they found out is that 90% of people who are top performers, they are able to manage their emotions when things are most intense, when things are most stressful, that they can manage their emotions.
Yep.
One of the number one gifts of top performers who can manage their emotions, number one gift is that they can recognize people who are toxic, and they stay away from them.
Yeah.
So they know who who's in their best interest and who's not.
Yeah.
And depending on what position they are, they're either with them or they're against them. They don't want to deal with them, right?
Yeah.
Because they may compromise what they want to do, things that they might be shooting for. Okay, say 5.
5.
5.
5.
Everybody out there, say 5. I
5.
dare you, say 5.
5.
5.
3 plus 2.
4 plus 1.
5.
Research has shown, well, I shouldn't say research because I didn't find the research. I guess there's a common statement out there that says that we have 5 people in our life. We are the product of 5 people that we spend the most time with.
Absolutely.
So
I
the
believe
question is, who are the 5 people in your life that you spend the most time with?
Whoa.
And what type of influence do they have on you?
Yep.
Right? Are they negative? Are they doubters? Do they criticize you? Think about your family. Think about your friends. Think about 5 people. As you're listening, write those 5 people down
Yeah.
that you spend most of your time with. And then you're going to get an idea of where you function, where they function,
Yep.
and the impact that they may have on you that you may not even be aware of.
Yeah.
You may not even be aware of it. But when you start thinking about the people that are around you, so I thought about every Tuesday night.
That's right.
You and I.
That's right.
Wow, we're both trying to grow in an area
Yeah.
in our life, and that's great, right? My wife, spend a lot of time with her. She knows about our goals and the way we in the journey that we're on with this, right? Then I think about family people that I might text, that I might talk to, that I might call after our filming, after our discussions, and I'm taking advice from them. So I'm thinking I'm doing okay with the 5 people that I surround.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but take a look at the 5 people that are in your life, because they really are influential, and you'll have an idea of how they might be impacting you.
Now, this goes back to controlling your climate.
Okay.
Is that those 5 people that you have around control your climate? You know, I would love, the older I get,
Okay.
I love Michigan. But
Okay.
man, the cold and the snow, man.
Yeah.
I just like that 70 degrees. I love my snow and I love the heat. But when you get it all in the same week, I just don't know about that. But you get to control your environment. In Aruba, you know, it's like 70 all the time.
Okay.
It's 70 all the time.
Okay.
So those 5 people that you have around your life create your climate.
That's right.
So if it's always cold in your life, or it's too hot in your life, or you just don't want to get out, my question for you is, and Dr. Dr. D just laid it out, is that who are the 5 in your life?
Who's 5?
If you don't want to get out, if you don't want to answer a phone, those 5 people in your life, you're in trouble.
Wow.
You're in trouble.
Right. And listen, so here's the interesting thing. This past weekend, I was with family, had a great dinner, and I had to take the opportunity to thank those people at the dinner table, because they are so important in my life and have been over the years. So yes, Betty, you are one of those 5. Betty is my
Who's
dad.
Betty?
Betty is my dad's wife.
Okay, all
So
right.
it's amazing how many people that are in your life that have been in your life in the past,
Yep.
and what they contribute, and how they stay in there for the future, and they become part of what you do, right?
Yeah.
And you want to share those important things with them so they can help you along that journey, give you criticism, constructive criticism, things
Yep.
of that nature. But it's really important to look at those people that you spend time with. It's very
Okay.
important. And give thanks to them.
Absolutely.
Give thanks to them,
Absolutely.
right?
That attitude of gratitude, people.
So we talk about drainers.
Let's do it. I want to make sure we get to the 3.
We're going to get to them.
Let's get to them.
Drainers.
Drainers.
So drainers steal positive energy. It's nothing like being in a good mood and you come across somebody and I've been guilty of this, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, and that they take something from you. They just drain you, maybe because they're heavy laden with their own burdens. They want to pour it on you.
Yep.
They just drain you, right? They come with a lot of chaos and drama, right? Story after story, and it's difficult because it's filled with a lot of emotions, and they don't ask. They're like
They just take
they're like a drug bust. They just barge in. they just barge in your life, and next thing you know, you're involved in this story, and you're like, whew, I was going to sit down, I was going to do some reports, I was going to answer some emails, I was going to do all these things, and next thing you know, I'm in a 30-minute discussion.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's only Monday. And I haven't started my work. Tuesday morning, same thing. They come around, and they repeat the same story. Here's one of the most difficult things to do with people who are drainers. They'll ask you they'll ask you your opinion. They'll ask you for help. But when it comes to your opinion, they don't take it.
Uh-huh.
And they come with the same issue over and over and over again. And you dare not ask, hey, did you even listen to what I told you last time? They're not invested in listening.
Uh-huh.
They just want to give to you. But it takes from yourself. Because when they leave, you're like, oh my gosh. And I was going to tell you what I used to be guilty of. There was a person who used to come to me and they just drain my energy. When I saw them coming, guess what I would do in my office? Pick up the phone. I pick up the phone and go like this. I'm like, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Or and if I say, they need more than a second. 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. And I didn't get off that phone until they left. And if I knew they were close by, I darted out the office and went to a classroom. So that wasn't really the nicest thing to do, but I had to. It worked.
It worked.
But they will drain your energy. So here's another thing you need to be careful of. And listen, And I truly believe a lot of people who are drainers come into people's life because they know they're sympathetic and empathetic.
That's right.
I don't think they're necessarily taking advantage of you,
No.
but they know that you were listening.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you will listen. And as a result, you will have to, you listen. Maybe it's part of your nature, as a counselor, a clinician, as a pastor.
Yep.
We're listeners, right? We have a soft heart.
Yeah.
We have a heart that want to help people. But here's the deal. Here's what you have to understand. Their crisis, and they'll be in crisis a lot because they have some issue that hasn't been resolved because they've engaged in the same behavior over and over again. Their crisis is not your crisis. Let me say that again.
Wham.
Their crisis is not your crisis. And you have to realize that. A good friend of mine that's been in jail several times in his life, I can't tell you how many times he would call me 10, 11 o'clock at night, and he wanted me to go get some documents of his, either his driver's license, his social security number, wanted me be his guardian ad litem. And I'm just going to make up a date. Let's say it was May 15th, 2012, right? 10 p.m. Well, guess when he wanted everything done?
Now.
The next day.
Yep.
You gotta go get it. Oh,
Yep.
by the way, I don't have the place is locked up, and they moved myself into storage, and storage is in Toledo, Ohio.
Come on.
And the guy's gonna bring it to
Come
you and
on.
meet you. This is the truth. He'll meet you in Ohio. He'll bring you all my stuff. You have to realize their crisis is not their crisis. And I used to think that his crisis was my crisis. I would drop everything I was doing. I would go do it. But I would be frustrated the entire time.
Yeah.
And finally I had to say, hey, I can't do it. I can't. And then something came in that really hit me hard. Oh, man, you're not a friend of mine. Wow.
Ouch.
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 Big time ouch. But I cannot necessarily control his response. And you may not be able to control the response of other people when you set limits, but you have to understand, do it in love. Say, hey, man, or whoever it might be, I love you, but I can't do that for you. Because their crisis is not your crisis.
I did a funeral along the lines. I did a funeral for a young guy, and mom and dad had to bury him. Now, I can't imagine having to bury your own son or daughter. And there's one thing that doesn't leave me is a mother's cry.
Wow.
And she was laying over his body, and she was bawling. And the funeral, the service was over.
Okay.
We were getting ready for the interment. I stayed back and waited for them to close the casket, and I stayed with the family. And then the family was escorted out by the funeral director, and the funeral director came back in, and I just sat with the funeral director because I was just emotionally spent.
Sure,
My heart was broken over them. And I said to him, how do you do this day in and day out?
Okay.
And he said, Norbert, you can't make their crisis yours every time. Because you'll lose a piece of yourself every time. That doesn't mean you're a cold-hearted snake.
That's right.
But you can't give yourself to every crisis that somebody has, because you're going to be in trouble.
That's right.
And be real careful, because I can be like this, and I'm sure you've worked this out in your own life, is that we love being a sounding board.
That's right.
We love being Superman and giving an answer.
That's right.
But boy, if we don't know boundaries, which we just talked about,
That's right.
It can suck you dry.
And listen, that's the battle I think most clinicians, social workers, counselors have, is wanting to, when you take, at least initially when you get into the field, when you're in the infancy of, like when I was in the infancy of psychology, becoming a psychologist and learning, because I thought I was a psychologist once I got my degree. Not even close. It wasn't until I had people in front of me. Because my very first client was suicidal.
Come on.
Oh yeah, that's the very first one. Kid you not.
One?
Had a note and had a means to do it.
That's
now,
serious.
I will say this: her crisis did become my crisis
because
I had to do something to make sure to keep her safe, and I had to act now. But not everybody's life is like that, because they need to act now doesn't mean you need to act. And so when people come to me or they talk in sessions, I'm inside. I'm like, ooh, I want to quick to jump. I want to quick to answer. But I've learned to just be still and listen. Because most of the time, I think people can attest to this. is that when people want to talk to you about something immediately, if you say, like the person used to come to me and want to talk to me, if I gave them 5 minutes, I never saw him again. The problem took care of itself. However it took care of itself, I don't know.
Right.
But the crisis really wasn't a crisis, so you don't
Yep.
always have to answer things for people.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, when things are really at their worst, I share with people, don't make a decision yet.
No.
You know,
No.
so their crisis is not your crisis.
All right, drainers,
Know-it-alls.
come on, baby.
Woo!
Know-it-alls.
Get ready.
Nobody listening or no one watching is a know-it-all.
And we're not know-it-alls.
We're not know-it-alls.
We're just helping.
You know what? Let me just let's let this be a segue. All you know is what you've learned, and what you've learned isn't all that there is to know.
Okay, you gotta repeat that.
Miles Monroe.
Say it
Something
again.
I live by.
Say it again.
All you know is what you've learned.
Okay.
And what you've learned isn't all that there is to know. So as smart as you
Ooh.
think, there's always more knowledge out there.
Well, guess who needs to know that statement? Know-it-alls. Right? That's powerful. That's a powerful statement.
Know-it-alls.
So
Go ahead.
know-it-alls. So what do they have? They have all the answers. And I had a conversation with someone the other day. They fall in this category. I was telling them about my daughter that went to France. Well, their daughter went to France. Right? My daughter stayed for a week. Well, their daughter stayed for 10 days. Well, you know, my daughter, you know, she was able to save money and, you know, oh, my daughter got a scholarship. She's like, my goodness. I mean, my story my story that I thought was so wonderful was minimized, you know. My daughter plays volleyball, and they were ranked number, you know, at the end of the season, they were ranked 12th in the state. Well, her niece plays volleyball for the University of Minnesota. That's like,
Oh.
I can't get a break, you know. So if I did it, they did it better. And listen, if they didn't do it, they had a friend that did it better.
Come on.
Oh,
Come
my
on.
goodness. Listen, I'm glad. I'm going to give props out to Ypsilanti Lincoln basketball. They were state championships this past weekend, right?
Yeah.
And guess what?
Huh.
They won on a boop. I had a last second shot, buzzer beater.
Come on.
Isn't that awesome?
That's cool.
Yeah, that buzzer beater. So let's get back to what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Know it all. So they say it better, they do it better, they do everything better. And the goal is to minimize the things that you have done or the things that you're talking about. That's their
Yeah.
goal. You can't do it as good as they can.
Yeah.
Right? I remember friends in high school, this guy that had this cool car, and he always talked about this car, and we got so tired of hearing about this car. We were one day, because my friend Donald had a car. He had a nice car. He had a Ford Escort or something like that. And this other friend had this nice souped up Toyota something, and he had all the bells and whistles on it. Well, whenever we saw him and we knew that he was away from his car, we were like, you know what? Let's go flatten his tires. 'Cause we're
Oh,
tired.
come on. Come on.
But listen, if you're not careful, you get caught up and get angry with
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
But you know what? So, but we didn't. Let me be honest with you. We did not flatten his tires. We just got tired of the stories. But just know that people who know it all, they want to minimize your efforts. They want to minimize your accomplishments.
Yeah.
So we have some solutions that I think might be helpful with know-it-alls. All right. Have compassion.
Yep.
And even though I didn't mention I was being compassionate about the idea of flattening this person's tire, I didn't do it. But have compassion, because listen, one of the things that know-it-alls struggle with is self-esteem. It makes them feel better that they know that they talk in a better way, that
Absolutely.
they have accomplished more than what you have, and things of that nature. So have some compassion.
Yep.
And pick your battles wisely with them, especially in conversation.
Yeah.
Pick your battles wisely, because some things are just not worth arguing.
worth it.
And sometimes I front load with people that know it all. Say, hey, I'm gonna say something. Let me say something to you. and I'm not necessarily going to agree with you. I just want you to listen to my position. Please don't respond. Just listen.
Yep.
I call it front loading. Oh, you know what? Can I add something to that? And if they give you permission, then they're going to receive it. They may not.
Right.
And if they do, and which might occur, they may add something on. You know what? You just kind of say, "Oh yeah, that's interesting too." But I just wanted to make sure you heard my position.
Hi, Rashada. You are making some good points there. Go ahead.
So here's another strategy for you, and that is, ask probing questions. Right?
Yes.
Ask probing questions. Questions like, you know what? Give them credit. Say, hey, or validate. That's an interesting comment. What's your source? Where did you get that
That's
information from?
All day long.
Right? Because people who are just full of themselves and full of their opinions are just that. It's just full of themselves, and full of their opinions. I mean, it's like, okay, but tell me where you got it from so I can go read it too.
That's right. That's right.
Right? And if you have a counter argument or something you want to add on, you cite your own reference.
Absolutely.
Say, hey, that's interesting you said it. I was just reading in the Newsweek magazine,
Yep.
and then you cite your reference. Because your statement may contradict something that they believe wholeheartedly in.
Yeah.
And if you have a reference point, it slows everything right down. It's hard to argue a reference point.
That's right.
It's hard to argue a reference point. But you can't argue something that you don't have a reference point for. It's like, it's just your opinion versus theirs, and they will always try to win.
A know-it-all is always their authority.
Wow. Say
They're
that
always, a know-it-all is always, they are the authority.
I like that.
All day long. Until you bring a reference in.
Yeah,
Till you bring an outside source in.
that's right.
So when dealing with a know-it-all, my friend, we're running out of time here.
So let's do one more, because this is another important piece for folks who deal with know-it-alls.
If we go over the time.
One way to be compassionate with people who are know-it-alls is to talk to them in private. Because I don't necessarily think they're being offensive. I mean, they just carry on the way they do. That's what they're used to doing.
Yeah.
And talk to them in private. And I've done this before, because I've been cut down in meetings if I have a suggestion about something that I'm talking about with regard to a student, or I'm talking about restorative practices and how we can apply it to this particular student in a particular classroom. They may jump in and just cut down what I'm saying. So what I will do is say, hey, you know what? When the meeting ends, I say, you know what? Can we talk later, because I want to make sure you understood my point of view.
That's right.
And I want to also consider yours, but I
Yep.
want to talk, because most of the times when a know-it-all is talking, they're amongst a group of people.
That's right.
And when they're amongst that group of people, they want the credit for something
That's right.
that they think that they know better than you.
Yep.
They want people to think of them as being more competent than you are. So talk with them in private and get an idea. Say, hey, listen, I just want to talk to you about my perception. Am I wrong that you had a counter argument for everything that I said?
Yep.
And then ask them, say, I would appreciate that you don't do that. And they may say, oh, I didn't recognize that. Oh, okay, I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
That's right.
And bring it to their attention
Yep.
may help next time, right? Or let's say they're not conscientious or remember your conversation. The next time you might be in a meeting with them and they begin doing what you talked to them in private about, you say, hey, so-and-so, you remember when we talked last week? That's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
So they know the conversation.
That's right.
They know the conversation.
right.
So that may also help.
That's right.
All right. What we got next?
Last one is the shamers. The shamers.
Shamers make it look as if you're 5'2". For those folks who are 5'2", I apologize. My daughter Sydney, sorry. You feel 5'2", and they seem like they are like 6'9".
Yeah.
Because they look down on you.
Yep.
Right. They mock you. They mock your accomplishments.
Yep.
They'll call, and matter of fact, they'll call you a know-it-all. Absolutely. This happened
That's
to
good.
me when I received my doctoral degree. There were some people who were very sincere, and they were very happy that I received my PhD. And again, I've said this many times over and over again. I didn't do this alone. My wife was very instrumental in her support. As a matter of fact, she critiqued all my papers. So I can never, whenever I mention my PhD, I always mention something about my wife. But they will consider you a know-it-all, and they will mock you, and they're not beyond spreading rumors about you. The thing they want to accomplish, the thing they want to attack, is your confidence and your faith. Any idea why you think they might want to attack your confidence and your faith?
Trim you down?
Trim you down, because guess what you need to begin pursuing goals? In your pursuit of any goals you might have, like something that you might want to accomplish, you got to have confidence, and you have to be faithful that you can do it. So that's the two things they're going to attack right away.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, and because you might be in the beginning stages of doing something in terms of accomplishing, and if you wobble in your confidence and in your faith,
Wham.
they'll knock you right off.
Absolutely.
They'll knock you to the side, and next thing you know, you found doubt in yourself.
Yeah.
So, prime example, I used to get a phone call from a friend of mine, and he would start off and say, "Hey, I thought I'd give you a call, doctor." And I was like, at first I was leery, like, what is he talking about? He said, "Well, you know everything now, so let me come to you."
Yeah.
So I stopped it. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm okay with what I accomplished in life, and I'm good with that. I don't know why you're doing this, but I would appreciate that you stop." And it just kept on, and he would mock me. There's a quote in the Bible. I don't know where it is, and you can help me out with this. And he would quote something in the scripture that said, the first will be last, and the last will be first.
Uh-huh.
Now, I thought he took it way out of context, because he felt as if when I accomplished my PhD, that he thought that I was higher than him. He called me snobby, right? I lived in a certain neighborhood that I guess was considered snobby. To me, it was safe. There's just certain places you don't want to live because of the demographics and the crime rate and all of that. And if it happens to look a certain way, it happens to look a certain way. But I thought I was still the person that I was after my PhD, that I was before my PhD.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure I was confident with myself, because, again, he just attacked, and he attacked, and he attacked, and he mocked me. And we finally got to the bottom of it, and he said, "Yeah, man, I think you think that you are better than me." I said, "Well, I don't understand that." I said, "Because the interesting thing is that you keep coming to me.
Yeah.
You keep coming to me for advice. You keep coming to me to help you. So why do we have such a difference in how you see me than before?"
Yeah.
So I think the title really messed him up. But yeah, you got to be careful about shamers, because they will try to attack your confidence and attack your faith. And what they'll do is that they'll project their prejudice on you.
Yeah.
They'll project their prejudices on you. So if you work in a certain environment,
Yeah.
they'll attack the people in their environment. That they are, "Oh man, all these snobby people that you work with, you with them now. You don't understand me."
Yeah.
So, but they do it by shaming you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right, Amy. They are insecure. Now I got a question here.
Okay.
Rashana asked a good question. How do you deal with know-it-alls and shamers in a work setting? Now you touched a little bit on that about your own experience, but
Yeah.
let's nail directly to that point. How do you deal with know-it-alls and shamers in the work setting?
Well, I gave out some examples earlier, right? You have to pick your battles. Sometimes it doesn't help by having a counter argument with someone who knows it all.
Yeah.
I just listen. And as soon as I mentioned that this person said, "Hey, my daughter went to France, and her daughter went to France for 10 more days than my daughter did. Once I recognized it, I just stopped.
Yeah.
I just stopped the conversation. The rest, having a further conversation was useless. It was,
Yeah.
I just wanted them to understand. I just wanted to share how proud I was as a
Yeah.
father. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to feel like I was competing, and that's what was happening.
Yep.
So you have to recognize it and listen to what they're saying and just stop the conversation and say, you know what? Hey, great talking to you.
That's right.
I'm glad your daughter went to France, had a good time. Mine did too. Gotta go.
Gotta go.
just
Gotta
in
go.
in the conversation. You don't have to do anything
Yeah.
mean-spirited.
No.
And if you don't want to have the conversation, you don't engage them.
Yep.
You don't engage them. But like I was saying, if you have someone that's cutting you down in a meeting, I think it's important to talk to them in private. Because I truly believe that if you don't talk to people who are cutting you down in meetings and know-it-all in the form of, know-it-all, it gives them momentum. It reinforces their behavior. And you want them to say, hey, listen, I didn't feel good about that. I appreciate that you would stop. And I've had good experiences that they did stop. So I think that would be a strategy that would be helpful.
You know, one of the more difficult things to face is that, or if you don't face it, what could happen is that you get to a boiling point and then you just explode. You explode in a meeting, you explode in a private setting, and then all of a sudden you get labeled emotional.
Okay.
Can't handle the stress,
Okay.
can't handle the environment.
That's right.
And you want to be real careful to avoid that situation. So if you're not a confrontational person or a person that will go ahead and sort of defend themselves, you better become that. Because what happens is that in a meeting you're going to explode. I'm tired of this.
That's
I
right.
can't deal with this any
right.
longer.
That's
And you're going to be looked down.
That's right. And you know what's going to happen? As a natural progression of your success, my success, and the success of people that are watching us, it's consistent with something my Aunt Margaret just said, is that not everybody's going to be able to keep up.
No.
People are going to be left behind. Not because you're better,
Right.
because your goals are different. We're not, it's amazing how we are created. There's so many people in the world that we are different. We're different in our body size, our shape, and we're also different in the way we think.
Yeah.
And we're different in the things that we want to accomplish in life.
Yep.
And we're not going to share those same values and opinion. And we get left behind. Maybe left behind is harsh, because they may go do something different than us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that, because I think left behind sounds kind of arrogant. I don't want to sound arrogant. But what I want to share is that not everybody is going to continue on the journey that we are on.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to understand who we're with and what we do.
Yeah.
And that some people are going to be a part of it and some people are not.
Yeah.
It just happens that those people who may not be, may stick around, and they may show up in the form of people who doubt you, people who criticize you, people who minimize your contributions and your accomplishment, and they'll try to drain your energy.
Yeah. Yep.
They're going to come in a know-it-all position to minimize you,
Yeah.
right? Because they're going to try and knock you down to build them up.
Yep.
And then those who are that will shame you, And we can come up with a whole bunch of different titles, but I think this really encapsulates
Yeah.
a lot of things that a lot of people have faced in their life.
Now we have gone way past our time.
Oh.
We've gone way past our time.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. The videos will be uploaded on YouTube beginning this week, so you'll be able to see our past stuff.
That's right.
And you get some great information. We're really working on these videos. And thank you for being a part of it and making it happen. Number
That's right.
8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Before we go, take a look at those 5 people that are in your life that you spend a lot of time
right.
with. Those 5 people, we don't want to should not be in the categories that we talked tonight. They should lift you up, and they should project you forward on your journey to whatever you want to do. Take a look at those 5 people in your life, and hopefully those are people that are helping you grow to be the person you want to be.
Focus in on the right folks. not on the ugliness around you. Discussing toxic people was simply to be able to remove that from our lives so that we can enjoy the good stuff from our lives. Because if we're walking around all day looking for the ugliness in life, you're going to find the ugliness in life.
That's awesome.
Learn to just push the ugliness away because you can identify it and live off the fat of the land and enjoy the good things in your life.
Awesome.
God bless you. We did it, baby.
8 down, 1 more to go.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Oh, wait, well, one more next week, but we got more than 1 more to go. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. It's next week at Tuesday. Next Tuesday, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. See you there. Or B Square.